If you feel bored at your job, it might actually be a good sign because some of the most capable people I know typically feel stuck. This is usually the result of operating below your capacity. So, for somebody who consults with people transitioning careers into high paying careers every single day, there are consistent themes across the board for people who work at 9 to 5s who are actually deep down high performers that feel like they have a lot of potential. So, I'm going to talk about the 3 reasons why normal jobs don't typically work for people who are high performers. We're going to talk about what those high performers actually do need in their careers, and then I'll give some suggestions. So the 3 main reasons why your current job or career makes you feel like a bird in a cage, it's typically because 1, there's no upside, 2, there's no ownership, and 3, there's no stimulation. First, let's talk about upside. You are typically given a fixed salary, and the more effort that you put into your role, you are not rewarded for that. Now, some of you who are watching this who do feel like a top performer, you are likely in the upper echelon of what your salary is capped at. So either you've already gotten those promotions or you're just exceeding to the highest level to where you make the most money, whether it's bonuses or commissions, and you're just kind of like, well, what's next from here? And unfortunately, most careers and jobs only increase your pay when they increase either your responsibility or your title. And that doesn't happen often. It might be 3 to 5 years per promotion. And even when it does, the pay increase is pretty nominal. And even when it does, there may only be about 2 to 3 levels of promotion in sight, which causes people to feel like there is not really a light at the end of the tunnel. It's like I could put forth my effort and energy into this vehicle right now, but 5 to 10 years down the line, I've basically hit my cap. And then what? Then I just work here for the next 15 years, 20 years for retirement. And then by that point, I've made as much money as I could possibly make. Then that causes you to start looking into side hustles and all this other stuff that is equally unfulfilling. Now, the trend I always see with these ambitious people is that they're not afraid to actually put forth the extra effort. It's just that they know that if they do put forth the extra effort in their current role, their current vehicle, it won't actually provide them the financial reward. So the second thing that's keeping you dissatisfied with your current career is there's no ownership. You are building someone else's vision. You have no control over your outcomes. You have no control over your day-to-day. You don't really get to feel like your work is yours. And I'm willing to argue that there's probably a part of you that has always wanted to maybe start a business and you just couldn't really make the jump into doing that, whether it was like a financial limitation or just a risk thing. I mean, most people have a serious life partner, they have a mortgage, maybe they have kids. Starting a business is not always the most appealing and reasonable thing to do, but you are missing that sense of ownership. You do tasks on a day-to-day basis, but it's not things that you do out of your own proactivity because you want to. You don't really get to look at your work at the end of the day and say, look, I individually specifically created this on my own. I built this opportunity myself. I built these relationships myself. The results are tied to me and me only. So again, you feel more like a contributor and not necessarily an individual, which leads really nicely into the third reason why normal jobs don't work for you. And it's the lack of stimulation. A lot of the things you do on a day-to-day basis are pretty repetitive. Let me give you a few examples. Many of the people that I consult with are healthcare workers, which in the world of healthcare, you kind of do the same exact thing, seeing the same people day in and day out. Or people that work in finance, same thing day in and day out. You work at a desk, you're crunching numbers, you see the same people. There's nothing dynamic. I also consult with people that work in sales, but not like a stimulating version of sales. And this redundancy just starts to feel so mundane because you kind of master what you have to do on a day-to-day basis. There's not really any sort of challenge or stimulation. When I say challenge, I don't necessarily mean that you're the type of person that needs to run an Ironman to feel like fulfilled. But when I say challenge, I do mean that there is a new adventurous dynamic component of what you do on a day-to-day basis, which causes you to have to constantly think of new things, meet new people, be in new places. This is an unfortunate truth, but when you are not growing, you are deteriorating. So honestly, every day that you continue to not put new tasks and new challenges in front of you, you're kind of shrinking in your capability as a human being, which is really unfortunate. So if you have that inner ambition and that inner high performer edge, it's not that you hate work, it's just that you hate stagnation. And this results in like just feeling stuck, even if you are doing well on paper, even if you are making $120,000 a year, you start to turn into an autopilot person who's just kind of drifting along life. And the biggest thing here is not really what you gain by pivoting into a career vehicle that's better, but also what you're missing out on, the version of you that is not unlocked because you just continue to do this, autonomous, mundane, day-to-day role that doesn't use any of your potential. You lose motivation, you lose energy, and that affects everybody that you show up around. So what do you actually need in a career, and what careers actually afford these things? Usually some sort of performance-based income is a great start, which is the harder that you work, the more money that you can make, and not feeling capped. As a matter of fact, being able to reach that upper echelon of 2 to 300,000 is not seen in a majority of career paths. The second thing is autonomy, a sense of freedom and control over your day-to-day. That brings so much fulfillment and enjoyment to any role that you pursue. Now, when I say autonomy and control, I don't mean that you're whipping out your laptop on a beach somewhere and that's your day-to-day work-life balance. I just mean actual control over how you spend your time each day and where you get to be. Third would be the ownership of outcomes. You actually feel a deeper sense of purpose in the work that you do when when you were directly responsible for it, which is why some people thrive in entrepreneurship, is because it's their baby. They feel emotionally tied to it and they're directly responsible for the results. That's why those people jump out of bed each day for the most part. And then fourth and finally is constant challenge. Now, again, when I say challenge, I don't mean that you're working yourself to death and stressing out like none other. But what I do mean is that it's not just repetitive, mundane, and you feel like you're going into autopilot mode. So the best careers that offer these things are careers that feel like you're running your own business. They're typically field-based, out and about. They're in a different environment each day where you meet people face to face. It's more dynamic, and almost always these are going to be sales-based positions. Now, if you're anything like me, I would not want to pursue sales roles where you are pestering people to death, you're twisting arms, you're not selling something that you don't believe in, and like it's feast or famine where one month you make a ton of money and the next month you make nothing. That's why roles like medical device sales are so attractive. Incredibly high paying, incredibly stable, long-term recession-proof career, but there's a lot of impact and mobility. You're selling products that are used in patient care. You build high-level sophisticated relationships with physicians and healthcare workers, which forces you to level up your communication and the way that you present yourself. And you get to run your territory like an entrepreneur. It's basically your business that you control, you build your relationships, and you build from the ground up. I've talked a lot about medical device sales on this channel. That's almost entirely what this channel is dedicated towards, but it's also one of the few career paths where people make $150,000 to $300,000 and you don't need a fancy degree in order to break in. So if this resonated with you, this channel is dedicated entirely to breaking into the high-paying world of medical device sales, as well as other high-paying career growth opportunities like tech sales and field-based sales positions. If you're new to the world of medical device sales, I recommend this video that's going to pop up on the screen here, which is basically like medical device sales 101. It explains every frequently asked question and compacts my years of experience. Otherwise, if you've already heard of medical device sales and you want to break in ASAP through our guidance in as quickly as 4 to 6 weeks, just go ahead and apply using the link in the description, fill out a brief application, and schedule a call with team.